everyone. Welcome back to the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube for the latest episode of Broncos Now. As always, I'm your host, Sydney Jones. And coming up on today's episode, Hall of Fame safety Steve Atwater joins the show. We'll take a look back at Saturday's loss in Detroit and look ahead to returning back to Empower Field at Mile High this weekend. All that and more coming up. Joining me here in the Broncos podcast studio for today's episode of Broncos Now is Hall of Fame safety Steve Atwater. Steve, thanks for joining me per usual.
Thank you, Sid. Glad to be here. Unfortunately, it's not under the same circumstances, but hey, we'll take it. We got to recoup.
We got to recoup. Was a tough loss, but overall, Steve, how we doing? How we feeling?
I feel good about where we are, and obviously would have liked to have won this last game. Right. I'm sure the guys and the coaches, they're like 10 times more than me feeling that way because of the time they put in with it. But I think with the guys we have on this team and with the coaches that we can bounce back. And it becomes a must-win situation now. I don't think we really wanted to be in that situation where you gotta take it, but hey, put a little bit more pressure on the guys, and we're going to see how they respond. I think they're going to respond well, though.
Absolutely. I think so, too. Steve, we're, a few days removed from the game now, but I know you've had time to look at the tape, look at the film. So overall, what were just your main takeaways from Saturday night's loss in Detroit?
Oh, man, it just didn't seem like that fire was there the way that it has been the last several weeks. Because, they executed on some plays they didn't. See some guys plant to the whistle, some guys not again, and I thought we'd gotten over that, but apparently we haven't. It has become where it's like second nature when they step on the field that they play 100% of the play. Now there are a few guys like that, but overall, I'm talking about as a team, just making sure that you're playing every play. On every play, it's like, hey, this play is the only thing that matters, and you got to be 100%. Try to be perfect on it. I don't think that all the guys are there yet, but we're working on it, and hopefully they'll get there this week and continue it throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Steve, I want to start by looking at the defense for a bit. And, the Lions, they finished the game with 185 yards on the ground. And head coach Sean Payton, he talked on Monday just about the breakdowns in the run defense, specifically gap integrity. What did you see in terms of that on film?
Yeah, well, there were definitely some missed assignments, and also some missed tackles, and it's just like before. You got to know what you're doing when you're stepping on the field. There were some mental errors made because sometimes guys weren't where they were supposed to be, even in some pass coverages. Just cleaning those types of things up, just making sure that you're mentally there. You know exactly what you got to do, and then coming out with the fire. Coming out intentional. And I say this 1,000 times: that football is emotional. You can't just wake up from watching the soap operas and go play a football game. You got to get your head right because, guys are coming at you full speed and you got to go at them full speed. And you can't do that just in the same mindset as you do when, you're going to the grocery store. You got to get yourself in a whole different mindset. So hopefully they'll get back to that. They've been there. I want to see them get there more regularly.
So if you talk about pressure, pressure from the pass rush was really key in this past 6 wins. Didn't see that as much on Saturday. So how crucial do you think it will be to get that going again moving forward for the 3 final weeks here?
Oh, it's definitely crucial. The turnovers are crucial. That's been a big help for our offense in the weeks that we've been winning those games. And, we did miss Nick Bonito. Not having him out there, I think, had a little bit of an impact on us. But the guys, they played hard. They played hard, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. We got to be able to get pressure with 4 sometimes and not have to blitz all the time. And we couldn't really generate much pressure before. Even sometimes we sent 5 and we didn't get there because they did a good job of blocking and picking up the guys that were coming. So you got to give our hats off to them. We knew it was a good football team going in. They had won 9 games going in, and good football teams. You're not going to win 9 games. So we took it on the chin. We got to learn from it and come back ready to go next week.
For sure. Steve, on offense, there's been a lot of talk this week about just needing to improve the run game. And head coach Sean Payton said that Cleveland was the last game that he felt like they really ran the ball well. And that was 4 weeks ago. They put up 169 yards on the ground. moving forward for the next 3 weeks, kind of in that same tone, how do you want to see them get back into that?
Well, I definitely want to see it. But New England Patriots, I think they've had maybe 100-yard rusher this year. So it's going to be difficult against them. They have a stingy defense.
Bill Belichick defense.
Yeah. But you still have to attempt it. You got to be successful running the ball sometimes in some key situations. But, again, I've always said this. Everything comes off of the run. If you can get the run going, you can make the defensive backs, the linebackers, bite up on some plays, open up those intermediate pass routes that you need to throw.
Well, Steve, it's going to be nice to be back at home following this 3-game road stretch. I know, for me mentally it was exhausting too, but I can't even imagine how the players felt physically and mentally. I mean, can you just talk about what a 3-game road stretch really does to your body? Because I know you guys had one back in 1997 that season.
Yeah, having to travel is always kind of stressful because you know the home team, they get all the benefits because they
sleep in their own beds.
Maybe on Friday night, but Saturday night you usually at the hotel. But you don't have to travel, don't have to sit on an airplane and eat airplane food, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more difficult, but I just think you got to have that mindset, regardless of where you're playing, that this is the perfect environment for me to excel. And the more guys that have that attitude, the more guys are going to play well. Not have those mental deals about, hey, we're on the road, so, we're at a disadvantage. I don't believe in that.
No, yeah. Well, the players, they've had the past few days off. Coach Payton gave them a few extra days with the Saturday game. So they'll be back at practice on Wednesday, Steve. Much needed rest for them. And it'll be really nice to be back at home the next 2 weeks here.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Broncos country, they're going to come out and support the team as they always do. And, I think we've been playing really well here this year.
Yeah, we have.
We've started something special, and we got to keep it rolling. The guys, the coaches, everybody knows that these are must-win games. You don't want to necessarily be in those types of games. You want to have a little bit of a leeway, but as long as everybody takes these games with the seriousness that they deserve, but not put too much pressure on themselves. Again, and I always say, you got to one play at a time. If you look at that one, I got to play one play. I got to be perfect on this one play. You can do it.
Right.
And then you just keep stacking them. Yeah, you're going to have some mistakes on some plays. Like, hey, I messed up on that one. All right, so I played 20 great plays. I got one bad one. All right, I got to get back on the roll, 100%. And as the game goes on, hopefully you stack up 80, 90% great plays. And if you and your teammates do that, then hey, you're going to have good results most of the time. Absolutely,
yeah. As you mentioned, Steve, 3 must-win games here to finish the season. They need to win out. I know you preach all the time about practice and how important practice is. So what do you want to see this week from the guys at practice as they look to turn the page, as they bounce back here?
Well, it was the same thing as when we had lost a game or two earlier, is just making sure that you know what you got to do and then doing it full speed and working the kinks out of your body. So, when you get to the end of the week, you feel great. You're bouncing around at that Friday practice like, man, we're so ready to go. Your body's feeling great, mind's feeling great, got a great understanding of the game plan. But it takes work early on. It takes work on that Wednesday. You got to put that hard work in. You got to, take care of your body. You don't know what you got to do. You got to, make sure your shoulders and knees and mind, everything is right, that you're feeling good leading up to the game. So when you get to the game, you feel great. You mentally, physically, spiritually, everything.
Everything, yeah. Well, looking forward to being back at home, Adam Powerfield and Mile High this weekend. Steve, appreciate you joining the show.
Okay, thanks, Sid. Appreciate you.
Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Broncos and Now Broncos Country. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll meet you right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube tomorrow for another episode. I will see you all then.